Oh, hello there. Merry Christmas to you. It's December of 2020. I'm enjoying a lovely afternoon here in Dallas, Texas, sipping on some nice Cavassier because we're about to settle down and get into a great topic near and dear to my heart, annuities, right? The four-letter word of investment. So I suggest you do the same. Take a breath. Let's dive in. I'm about to clear up annuities for you. Okay. Let's get it out of the way. Annuities. Annuities have a bad rap. And there's a lot of bad annuities out there, and they don't make sense for a lot of people. Okay, that's the long and short of it. I am not here to recommend an annuity by any way, shape, or form. All I'm here to do is just explaining to you what annuities are, what their original intent is supposed to be or was, and what they're supposed to do for your portfolio, and then also maybe how they've been positioned here of late, maybe a little differently, so try and clear these things up because they are a very confusing topic, and it can be very easy to get locked into something that doesn't make sense for you. But as always I say, for your own personal portfolio, seek out your own financial advisor or your own financial professional and seek their advice and how an annuity would fit or would not fit within your portfolio. But this is not a recommendation, nor is it a condemnation of annuities. So first thing you need to know about annuities is that they are an insurance product. First and foremost, they started that way, they're still that way, they'll always be that way. I mean, here's a clue for you. Who sells annuities? Who are the product partners, if you will, or those wholesalers who sell those annuities, right? Insurance companies. Right, so it's not a big shift, if you will, to go insurance companies selling insurance products, and insurance companies that we all know make a lot of money. Guess what? Annuities make a lot of money for insurance companies. So, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a reality. So I would say don't let that turn annuities off for you. Okay, what has happened though in the industry, especially in the late '90s. Early 2000s, times were good, money's flowing. You didn't have to be fully licensed to sell an annuity. Certain types you do. And I'm not going to get into all that. But there's a lot of people out there, let's say, that are pushing annuities because that's all they can sell, right? Or one of the most premier products they can sell in their insurance portfolio. So naturally, they're going to make it sound like it makes sense for you. For my teacher friends out there, I'm sure you've had a seminar, you've been in the cafeteria and a guy or girl sitting there and they're going to talk about investments and then, oh, by the way, it's this great thing. They never say an annuity, but that's in essence what they're talking about. Guaranteed income, can't lose your money, things like that. Those terms are thrown out. You're going to get X amount of dollars back for the rest of your life, blah, blah, blah. Those are annuities, and it's unfortunate. And I'm not saying that teachers shouldn't get an annuity, but what happens more often than not is I have clients or prospects or people come to me and go, okay, I've got X amount in my 401k. What's the best way to keep that money and not pay taxes on it? Well, obviously there's several things you can do. One of them is roll it into an IRA. Usually that doesn't cost any money to roll over. It's a non-taxable event is what I mean. And then depending on who you go with, either your bank or another financial advisor, there are fees that they include with how that money is managed, but it's typically not locked away, meaning it's accessible. Now there will be, depending on your age, some penalties if you get it out before 59 and a half, and then you still got to pay taxes on that money. But in essence, it's more liquid than an annuity. So what has happened in an industry is that there's a lot of people out there selling annuities and making it sound like, and doing the math for you, saying that an annuity is where you need to be with your money, and it just makes sense, or it's the right thing to do. But I would question that with people. So if someone tries to sell you an annuity, I would ask them, what all can you provide me? Meaning, can you provide stocks, bonds, mutual funds, REITs, limited partnerships? It doesn't have to be everything under the sun, but it needs to be pretty robust. And if a person can sell you a lot of things, right, and, oh, by the way, some life insurance, and, oh, by the way, an annuity, I can provide those things for you, then, I would trust that more if that person's coming to you and say, hey, part of your portfolio makes sense to an annuity, than if the person could only sell you in annuities. if the person can only sell you life insurance and or annuities, I would question how much of my portfolio I'm going to turn over to that person, right? So that's one just friend-to-friend tip, okay? Just an industry insider tip. There's that. There's a lot of people selling annuities because that's all they can sell, and it makes them, guess what, a lot of money, okay? And again, I'm not opposed to people making money and them earning it, but it's important for you to realize how a person gets paid and what their incentive is, so you can better trust if what they're telling you is the right thing for you or not. Okay, so there's that. If someone's trying to sell you an annuity, I'd ask them if they could sell you other things, and then go from there and then have them lay it out why that makes sense. Second thing about annuities, as I've said it before, right? What's the first rule about Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club. What's the second rule about Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club. So what's the first rule about annuities? It's an insurance product. What's the second rule of annuities? It's an insurance product. I promise you it is. You're going to have people say it's an investment. And there's investments in there, okay? But in its core, at its essence, you have to remember, if nothing else, if you hit delete now, if you move on, like Wheeler doesn't know what he's talking about, please, please, please remember that annuities are and always will be, in the near future anyway, an insurance product. It's for insuring a part of your income that you don't want to lose, okay? Or that you cannot risk the same way that you would in a normal stock and bond transaction or mutual fund or an investment such of that nature. Okay, so please remember that it is in essence how much of your income do you want to insure, that you want to take risk, as much risk off. There's always risk in everything. Okay, I don't want to turn this into a compliance video, so just take that with a grain of salt. There's always risk in everything. So just to paraphrase, it is taking a certain amount of risk, a lot of risk off the table, and put it in an annuity. You want to ensure an amount of income for your future you. The person sitting next to you on the plane, the future self, you've seen those commercials, the guy or girl 20 years down the road, right, that doesn't have the ability to go out and make another income, go out and get another job. They need some type of guaranteed flow of income. Okay, that's the number one thing about an annuity. That should be its purpose. Now, behind that, there are different types of annuities, just like there's different types of cars. I think we could argue that everybody needs a certain mode of transportation. Okay, let's use that example. America is not a walking country. I'm sorry, it's not. I lived in Europe. They like to walk a lot of places. I'm not saying it's better. It's just designed that way, and they got public transit. Okay, in America, we tend to like cars. So in essence, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say most people need a car. Hence, that's why you have Uber and Lyft and not public trains running every 15 seconds. And that's why it also takes 2 hours to get from North Dallas to downtown Dallas, right, on the DART system. So, most people need a car. Now, what type of car depends on you, right? Depends on your income, how fast you like to go, how safe you like to be. It's the same with an annuity. I'm not saying everybody needs an annuity, but more often than not, it can make sense in your portfolio. It's just a matter of how much and how much risk and how do you want to get there. So one type of annuity is invested in the market. It gets invested in either index funds, and there's a lot of indexed annuities out there. Those are the sexy ones right now. Everybody loves indexed. Everybody loves passive management, low fees, those buzzwords out in the field right now. And so the annuity market has tapped into that. And again, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's kind of a buzz right now. Annuity, indexed annuities. And a way a lot of these people position them are as investments. Use terms like guaranteed, risk-free, things they really probably shouldn't be using. So there's nothing wrong with it, but indexed in itself, your money is put into a bucket, if you will, the annuity bucket, and the performance of that bucket is based on an index, be it the S&P 500, that's a popular one, or a bond index, whatever that is. So that's indexed annuities, okay? So your money is invested in the market in annuity, all right? But that's still an insurance product with an investment underneath it, right? Then you got variable annuities, same thing. There's underlying funds, mutual funds usually that you get to pick from. You can be very risky, you can be very conservative, or a combination of both. You're limited to the amount of funds you can pick based on what is in that particular annuity product. They limit how many. You don't have an endless amount to choose from, but you have a good amount. A good annuity will have anywhere from 25 to 50 annuity mutual funds rather to choose from, and you pick that to put your money into. And then now that's invested, and it's in the market. It goes up and down as the investment goes up and down. Then the most are one of the most, how do I say this, least risk, rather annuity, is a fixed annuity, which is based off of interest rates. And the idea being, it's very low, 2-3% every year. That bucket of money you put in is going to grow 2 or 3%. And then that's how that money's going to grow. Okay, so maybe it's not in mutual funds. Maybe it's just based on what the insurance company is willing to put down at interest rate. Now, those are three popular: indexed, variable, and fixed annuities. Okay, they all are cars. They just go at different speeds, and that's the way to look at that. Indexed annuity, kind of like a Tesla. Okay, it's almost a sports car, maybe not good all around. It's pretty risky. It's going to go. Variable, kind of probably more how you want it to be. It could be like a Jeep, I guess, and you can trick it out however you want. An F-150. Let's just say it's an F-150. I can have a $120,000 F-150, or I can have a $50,000 F-150. Those are variable annuities. I would think of a variable annuity as an F-150 truck. And then a fixed annuity, I would think of that as of like a Chevy Malibu, a Ford Taurus. Nice steady Eddie car. You're not going to get a lot of looks when you drive up to the valet, but you're going to get where you want to go. Okay, so those are the three of the basic types, and there's some derivatives out there, and I'm not going to get into all of that. So now that you kind of know what an annuity is, now you may be saying, well, all right, how much should I put into an annuity? Well, again, I tell you to seek out your professional and have them do that math for you based on your retirement plan, how much you expect to get in, factor in things like Social Security, pensions, your 401k, your IRAs. But in essence, I would say no more on the aggressive side, no more than 40%, of your portfolio needs to be going into an annuity, okay? And I should say of your net worth minus your house. So what do I mean by that? So let's say your net worth's $1 million for a nice round number, $1 million net worth, okay? But your house is $600,000, okay? So what I'm saying is only consider that $400,000 that is not in your house and take 40% of that. So do the math. So that's about $160,000. I wouldn't put more than about $160,000. If I had $1 million net worth, $600,000 is in my house, right? The other $400,000 is quote unquote more liquid. Then I would do no more than 160, and that's on the very aggressive side. I mean, typically you want to, and again, it's to you. No more than 40, somewhere between 10 and 40, 20. But really you have to ask yourself, what part of my income do I want to insure? What part of my income do I want to insure that when I'm 75, 80, 90 years old, that I don't want to risk in the terms of normal risk, as in the market, meaning, and again, everything has risk, but this is least risky than just being in the market in and of itself, okay? Because you have the insurance company behind you, there's an annuity, there's a contract there, how much they're willing to pay, there's some guarantees in there, and there's 1,000 different annuities out there, and I'm not going to get into that. But what I am going to do is run through a couple of illustrations, and it'll make more sense to you there. But I just at a high level want to explain to you this is an insurance product, and you need to look at them as how much you want to insure your income, okay? Because a lot of people are going to come at you as this is just a pure investment portfolio. And it really is not. It is an insurance vehicle, and that is not a bad thing. Another note to make is fixed annuities. Back in the day when interest rates were, in the 80s, the interest rates were 20%. Those looked great, right? 20% return on my money. Who wouldn't take that? Times were tough, right? So not a lot of money's tight, but my point is when interest rates are higher, those fixed annuities perform better. When interest rates are low, when they're 1%, 2%, those annuities perform more poorly. And here recently, a lot of these companies cannot make money on fixed annuities, so they're just not going to be offered, right? They're just not going to be offered like they were. And so for those of you out there who have fixed annuities, I suggest you get with your financial professional and review what you have, because the illustrations, and oh, by the way, every time someone tries to sell you an annuity, they should provide you a prospectus and an illustration, meaning if you gave them X amount of dollars, how would this perform under different market circumstances? And there's no guarantees with that, but it gives you an idea of where your money should fall. So my point is, if you had a fixed annuity that was based off a 10% run rate every year, of the interest rate being around 10% every year, as maybe it was late 90s, early 2000s, and now it's at 1 or 2, you may actually be losing cash value. You may actually be losing money in your annuity. So if you're not reviewing that annuity every year, then you should be, okay? And you should find somebody to help you do that because they are living entities and they could be changing and you didn't know it. Could be fine too, but you need to know. Too often I find that one of the bigger mistakes, after buying an annuity, they didn't fully realize what they were getting. The second mistake I hear people do is that they just say, oh, well, it is what it is. I did it. Probably could have done better. But then it's like anything. You don't want to be reminded of maybe the mistake that you made. So you tend not to go back and look at it. Please keep looking at those annuities and see where you are today. If you haven't had a review, please schedule one. I'm happy to look at it for you, but that's not what I'm here to try and do. But if you can't find anybody else, hit me in the comment section or email me, wheeler@exponify.com. My information's here in the video, and I'll happily either look at it or point you in the right direction. So look at it, what you have, and make sure it's performing the way you thought it would. Now, what I'm going to do now is jump into a couple illustrations to kind of help you visualize what I'm talking about. So, but before I do that, let's talk about what an annuity, aside from being an insurance product, is. So what's it mean? And there's different ways you use it. But in essence, let's say you got $100,000. That's your number that you want for an annuity. You're going to give that $100,000 to the insurance company, and you're going to maintain control of that $100,000 as it's in the market, from year to year, whatever you're in, an index, variable, fixed. Let's just say it grows, and it grows at 5% a year. And in 10 years, your 100,000, and please don't check my math, but your 100,000 is 100 or 200,000, right? Let's say it's $200,000. Now you still have control between year 0 and year 10 for this example, right? As long as you haven't turned on the annuity or annuitized it. As long as you haven't annuitized it, you still maintain control of that original premium investment of 100,000 or whatever it grew or lost, right? So meaning that at a certain point in time, at year 9, you want to get out, you want to be in the annuity anymore, you can get out and you can get whatever cash value is in that annuity right back out and go do something else with it. You're not locked in. Now, but for most annuities, there's a surrender contract of usually about 5 to 7 years. And what does that mean? Well, that means the insurance money, there's always, what's the catch? I'm making all this money, or they're guaranteeing this or whatever. How can they do that? What's the catch? Well, the catch is the insurance company is going to get their cost of insurance. They're going to get paid. Your cost of insurance, they're going to get paid in that first 5 to 7 years, meaning that if you gave $100,000 and decide to get out in year 1, you may only get about 70 grand back out. And it depends. It depends on the illustration, the annuity, the company. But just for purposes of this example, if you decide after a year to get out of an annuity, more likely than not, you're going to leave money on the table, right? So it's very important to know what your surrender charges are. Typically, they're all gone about 7 to 10 years. I'd be very surprised. I haven't seen any after 10 years of being a surrender charge. But it prohibits you from taking your money and going somewhere else and leaving it on the table. So yeah, my point is it's pretty illiquid. Okay, that's the catch. It's pretty illiquid. Now, let's say you go and you turn 70 years old and you want to turn this thing on. What does that mean? You want to annuitize it. Well, what that means is, let's say that $100,000 again grew to $200,000, and you go to the insurance company and say, you know what? I want to turn this on. I want to gain my monthly income. I want to take income from this $200,000 from now. And there's options there, either the rest of your life, a period certain, joint survivorship. And again, too many to name. But in essence, let's just use this simple example, until you die, right? And it's just you. So that means the company is going to guarantee they can take how much money you have. They're going to take your life expectancy, the math that they have and a chart that they have, and there's public access to it. And then they're going to figure out how much they can pay you each month until they expect you to die, right? Now, whether you live that long or live past it doesn't matter. If that's the option you pick for life, then they have to pay it for as long as you live. So the longer you live, you're a winner. The quicker you die, then they're a winner, as I like to say. So the insurance company's probably betting, hoping you die as soon after you turn out that annuity, and they ain't going to pay you anymore if that's the option you pick. Now, again, there's joint survivorship. There's stuff that I don't want to freak people out who have annuities and go, well, I thought it was for my wife. Absolutely, there are choices out there. There is a death benefit if you die. Most of them, I would say, have a death benefit. If you die, that money goes to your spouse. I'm not trying to freak people out. I'm trying to use a normal example. So again, that's probably a good chance to take a little drink, right? I probably just freaked you out. You thought you were going to lose your money. That's not what I'm talking about. Take a breath, take a drink. Get set in the mind again. We're talking about examples. right? So my point is back to annuitizing. What people don't understand is that $200,000 is not yours anymore when you annuitize it. You've in essence given it over to the insurance company. You don't own that anymore. It's not on your books. You can't point to it during tax time. You can't sell it. It's gone, right? You've initiated the contract, and so now they're going to pay you for whatever option that was. And we're just saying in this example life, they're going to pay you X amount of dollars, let's say $200 a month. Again, as an erroneous example, but $200 a month till you die. So if you die year 12, right, and maybe there's a survivorship benefit there if you elected that, but let's say you don't have a spouse or a beneficiary, you've turned it on, then the money stops, it's over. It's over. So that's why I say be very careful with annuities and how you position them in your portfolio, because if you take a majority of your portfolio thinking you're going to leave that behind to your loved ones, and you turn the thing on, and you didn't pick the option to have a joint survivorship, then the money's going to be gone. Okay, so in terms of estate planning, they factor in. But again, I'm not saying don't use annuities. In times like this, annuities kind of make sense, and they get a lot of buzz because, again, it's insured income. You hear words like benefit, you hear benefit, but you hear words like guaranteed and growth and upside and limited downside, and there is that stuff, and I'll go over that in this illustration in a minute. But just on a broad view of what annuities are, just please remember they're an insurance product. There is a surrender charge for most of them, meaning that you can't readily get your money right back out. And if you annuitize it, you've turned that money over, and then that's it. Now, I'm not saying you ever have to annuitize it. And again, that's per your personal situation. Some people have annuities they don't ever plan on annuitizing. They're just taking the growth off of it as they go. And there's nothing wrong with that. And annuities, they do grow tax-free, meaning they if you had an IRA and you rolled part of that or all of that into an annuity, it's a non-taxable event. And let's say you put $500,000 from your 401k and you roll that into an annuity. Now you have an annuity that is a IRA. And then every time you take money or you get money from the insurance company for that annuity, be it annuitized or prior to, you're going to have to pay taxes on that as ordinary income. So you got to remember that. So I know, again, maybe another time take a drink. We talked about taxes. So my point is, annuities can be very complex. It's not just a simple investment program. Don't fall into, I'm going to grow. They said I'll grow 15% each year, and if the market goes down, I won't go down. There's some of that, and I'll jump into that next in this illustration. But on a high level, please remember they're insurance products. Please remember if someone's trying to sell you one, ask can they sell you other things besides annuities and life insurance. And please remember, no more than 40%. And again, that's on the very high end, and it is to you. Your personal situation may not allow you to do more than 10%. All right. This is just a broad swath for everybody. Your situation may be different. All right. So with that, take one more little drink, and then we're going to jump into an illustration. Okay, so we're back. So here's one illustration I'm going to talk about. These are pretty popular now, so we'll jump in. This is one that tends to be sold as an investment product. No offense to anybody here. It's a good, there's nothing wrong with it, but it can be one that can be easily construed as just an investment product. Well, again, it is an insurance product, and it can make sense for you. But basically, this is an indexed annuity. Just an example, one of many. It doesn't say, I'm not trying to recommend you need to get, this company or not get it or anything like that. I just want to run through it. So here we have an example of a person who has, for them, $300,000 makes sense in their portfolio to have an annuity. All right, so there's the index. They're going to use the S&P 500. So those who are familiar with means this annuity is designed to follow the S&P 500. When it goes up, it'll go up. When it goes down, it'll go down. Now there's some buffers in place for that, and you'll see here a 20% buffer and a 10% buffer. Different annuity companies use different language, but in essence what it is saying in this particular strategy, and again, even in this one annuities are like cars and there's options. There's 20 or 30 options you could put on this annuity, okay? And I don't want to get into all that. I'll just confuse you. Your eyes will glaze over. I just want to get you to understand the basics. Here it's saying that, okay, if you use this strategy and this annuity, that we'll follow the S&P up to 20%, which means if the S&P goes up 19%, your portfolio will go up 19%. If it goes up 10, it'll go up 10. Now, if your portfolio goes up 25%, you're only going to get that 20%, right? And then the next 5%, rather 5, you can see it now. Most companies have some will just say, hey, I cut it off at 20. Some will give you a derivative of those 5 percentage points. In this example, if we're saying 25, there's a derivative of that 5%. So we get the 20% plus a derivative of that 5%. So you may net 22 and the market's at 25. So my point is this: be on the lookout. There's always some type of cap, right? Some are better than others, and there's always a low end. So in this low end here, it's saying when the market is 10%. So when the market goes down 10, you're not going to go down 10. You won't go down any in this example. If the market goes down 5%, you're not going to go down any. If it goes down 6, you're not going to go down any. Now, if the market goes down 12, you're going to go down 2. Okay, if the market goes down 15, you're going to go down 3. I'm sorry, if the market goes down 15, you're going to go down 10. Man, I messed that up. I apologize. So start over. If the market goes down 15%, you're going to go down 5. Your buffer's 10. If the market goes down 18%, you're going to go down 8. Okay, if the market goes down 20%, you're going to go down 10. If the market goes down 5%, you're not going to go down any. Okay, and this is just in this one example. This is not for annuities overall, but this is just one example of how that type of thing works. Now, you can get annuities that say, look, I don't want to go down at all, right? So if the market goes down 2%, I don't want to lose any money. And they'll sign that, but the caveat is you'll be capped at like 2 or 3% growth. Okay, so you give what you get. You never, everybody asks me, well, is there one out there that will give me 20, 25% growth and 0 downside? I haven't seen it. And if a annuity company does do that, they probably won't be around long. Okay, so be wary of that. You also want to know the financial strength of these annuity companies, right? Some of the names you'll know, like Protective, Prudential, Lincoln, John Hancock, all of those. Some you don't know. If you don't know them, there's resources online to Google them and find out their financial strength. Because what you don't want to have happen is an annuity company's only been around for a year or two, and they can't deliver, okay? So think of it as an insurance product. Would you buy insurance from Cousin Vinny down the street who started his own insurance company, or would you go buy it from a reputable insurance agent? Same with annuities, okay? Don't get blinded by the flash and promise of returns. Think about security, think about insurance, think of these things as insurance products. All right, enough of that. So let's see what that looks like if I get a thing to work here. And I'm not going to get too much into this. So this is just the strategy of the return, kind of showing you what the index return bases the strategy of this annuity and how it would perform based on past performance. Here, going back to 2000, how it would grow. These numbers are fine. This is not the point I'm trying to make, though. This is more where they're trying to sell you on this annuity versus maybe others. So I don't want to really focus on that. What I want to show you here is what I was talking about, the surrender value here, right? So you gave them $300,000. You see that? You gave them $300,000. That means if I got out, this is just pretending we went back to 1996, so it's using real numbers, that if I got out, then I'm only going to get $279,000 back, right? I'm going to leave $21,000 to the insurance company because that's the cost of insurance. And as you look, it goes, right, to right about year 6, or age 71, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, year 6. You got out. If this didn't do anything, this number maybe is, this is 589, but let's say it didn't grow at all, and it just stayed at 300,000. And then at year 6, you would get that $300,000 back. But what this illustration is showing is based on the index, the S&P 500, that if you bought this in 1996 and 2001, your $300,000 would have turned to $589,000. Now, in this particular product, you look that if I got out any other time before, or I annuitize it rather, if I annuitize it, it's only going to be based on that $300,000. It does not aggregate year over year in this particular strategy. Only every 6 years am I able to look and see and say, okay, now I really have $589,000. It's growing underneath each year, but you don't realize that growth in this particular strategy until year 6. And now for the next 6 years, you're locked in, right? And then it turns to $760,000. So your $300,000 in 12 years turned to $760,000. So you can see how it's really easy to buy in and go, oh, what a great investment. I'm not saying it's not a good investment, but it's an insurance product. The catch is, I don't really have that $760,000 for the first 11 years. And the other catch is, there's no guarantees that's going to be $760,000. It depends on the S&P 500. But this is just one way to read that, okay? And again, one example that's pretty popular out there of how annuities work. You have a surrender charge over here. And so you can see here after year 6, I'm pretty free and clear of the surrender charges, meaning that what I have over here, or rather right here at 73, what I have in this column is what I have in surrender value column, which means that's what I get. Then you got the death benefit. You see here the death benefit each year. So the first 6 years, it's just going to be what I put in. Then at the year 6, then it'll jump up to 589. So if I pass away and I didn't annuitize it, then my beneficiaries get 589. All right, so that's one way. I just want to run over that real quick with you to show you, and then the next sheet shows, I think, kind of the next deal. So they'll, an annuity guy, I'll probably focus on, oh, look at this great return, 86% return. Who wouldn't want 86% return in 6 years? I made you $279,000. Yeah, you did. But, the caveats were I couldn't touch that money for six years, and it didn't really fully realize until the end of the 6-year mark. Okay, so there's always caveats. I'm not saying that's not good. It is. But it's not just as simple as, what they might make it appear to be. All right, so that's one example. Now let me jump into another. I thought I had it up. Here it is. Here we go. Okay, here's a more straightforward one that some of you may be used to seeing. So this person put in $500,000, right, at age 63. And I hope everybody can see that, if my screen is showing that. And then each year, I'm not going to get too much in the numbers. That's not the point. I just want you to be able to understand an illustration. At $500,000 in a year, it went to $550,000, right? And so this chart's not showing you the surrender value. That's further down. But basically what they're saying is if your income that you would get off of this each year is showing you what your income would be if you annuitize it, if you locked it in, then you would be getting 3.75% of that $550,000 in year 1, which means your guaranteed lifetime withdrawal would be $20,625 each year. This is year 1 if you turn it on. Now let's say you don't do it until you're age 70. So your $500,000 turned into $900,000. And again, that's great. And then when you turn this thing on, you're going to get 4.45% or $40,050 a year. Now, this other number is if you went to, for terms of our conversation, long-term care, or if you're confined, they would double that, right? So because the idea being you're probably going to die sooner than later, so they're going to increase your payout. And again, I'm just trying to make it very complex. And again, we didn't get into this is, what it would do if it was 3%, what it would do if it was 6%, what would you do if the market was 0. Every annuity illustration should show you different market rates, right? Most of them like to lead with the 6.5% year-over-year growth or 5.5% year-over-year growth. Index strategies are easier because they just follow the last 20 years. And most of them do that anyway. They'll show you what the last 20 years of average growth was, and it makes it simple. But each one will also, by law, has to show you what would this annuity do if it was 0%, if the market didn't grow at all. The likelihood of that is very slim to none, but most of you want to know that. Or some of them will show you what it would do at a lower percentage rate. So these illustrations can be, 20, 30, 40 pages long. Read through it, right? Because it's very easy just to gravitate toward the best case scenario. And I'm not saying go toward the worst case scenario at 0 either, but you kind of need to know what the yin and yang is and then make an informed decision. Is this right for you? This illustration, if this just pretending this was you, would that be okay with you? And if you needed to get that money, how easy would it be to get that money back out? How easy is it to turn on? When you're dealing with an annuity company, I would ask what's the customer service like, and go that right. So hopefully these two illustrations kind of help show you. And I can scroll down here, and maybe I think this has, here's another one that kind of shows you, you put in the $500,000 and your income, they base your income off to begin with 600. So there's a little bonus there for that. Again, that's not all annuities. That's just this one, but it goes, and then you turn this thing on when you're 71. And you're going to start taking 40 grand from it each year, and then you can kind of see what your income pace goes to. So it was growing to 900, then you turn it on, and they start taking it out, and it slowly goes away on that guaranteed annuity contract value. So again, you probably need to have a financial professional walk you through all of that. I'm trying to see if here's what I was talking about, where you can see, I think this is it. Yeah, this is where it says assumed interest rate 0. So this is saying, because you're looking at, well, wow, Wheeler, why in the hell would I do that? My money's going down. I put in 500, then my accumulated value is here. Well, what this product is showing you is that, yeah, your accumulated value, meaning if you ever wanted to take this money out and get out of the annuity, and the market was doing 0% every year, then that's how much you would get out. And, at year 79, you'd run out of money. That's why I told you earlier, make sure you know what is the engine driving your annuity, so you know what's really in there as far as cash value. But a lot of annuities have the beauty of saying, okay, even if the market went down, we're going to guarantee you this amount in your income base. So that's what this product is showing you, that even though the market did 0, we're going to guarantee your income base at $600,000. So that's going to make sure that you have a certain amount of guaranteed income the way you want it to. Again, insuring your income. So long story short, saying even if the market goes down, every year it's 0, every year, and you put $500,000 in this product, then we're still going to pay you $40,000 a year, right, when you turn it on for the rest of your life, if that's the option you picked. Again, don't get wrapped around the specifics of this product. I just want you to be able to navigate what an illustration looks like and how you kind of, figure out if something makes sense for you or not. Accumulated value, cash surrender value, those things. So the cash surrender value may be different from accumulated value. There's a lot of confusing numbers on here, but the cash surrender value is the one you kind of want to know, right? Hey, how much, push come to shove, I want to get out of this thing. When can I get out, and how much will it cost me, or how much will it take when I get it? All right, I hope this helped. Just a couple other final thoughts here. Just remember that annuities are an insurance product, right? Look for a quality company that's been around for a while or has a good financial statement or backing. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be around for a while. It just kind of works out that way. Find a professional that walks you through it and understand the illustration all the way from the best case scenario to the worst case scenario. Okay? Remember that you want to look at it as part of what income do you want to insure for your future self. It can also be used for tax-deferred growth, tax-free growth, or tax-deferred, depending on how it's set up and where the money is originally coming from. So it can be a good vehicle for those of you who are out there who've exploited all other tax-deferred and tax-free vehicles. This is another vehicle that can be used for that. Okay, so please don't think of annuities as a 4-letter word, but they are a high maintenance significant other. I'll put it that way. So I hope this helped. I enjoyed the time with you. Hopefully we can meet again in the future. Please, if you like this, if you found this useful, please hit subscribe and the button below. Please forward to your network, your friends and family, and maybe it'll help them. If you saw something that you liked or didn't like, please hit it in the comment section. And as always, if you have questions, you can reach out to Wheeler at Exponify.com, and I'll be happy to respond. But I appreciate the time. I'll have one last sip for you. Cheers until next time.